Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Sportsbook Confidential. My name is John Sullivan, and I'm coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in Seneca Falls, New York. And this little show here is to help you learn and grow as a sports bettor. And I think I have a good sportsbook lesson for you today. We're going to talk about expected goal differential, a fancy stat, if you will. I'm going to talk about expected goals and then how we get to expected goal differential and then how we can use that to measure teams playing against one another. I know I butchered the math in my last sportsbook lesson on the three-way markets, and I apologize for that, but I'm going to use somebody else's figures that already calculated expected goals for the examples we're going to use today, the Euro 2020. So there won't be much math involved at all, so hopefully everybody will be able to follow along without me leading you astray. We've also got the weekend in sports. Of course, we have Euro 2020. We have the NHL Playoffs, the one semifinal, Game 7 left to go. And then we've got the conference finals in the NBA. And we have double doses of racing. We have two Pocono races this weekend in NASCAR, Saturday and Sunday. And we have a back-to-back Grand Prix in Formula One at the exact same track. This week it's called the Styrian Grand Prix, and next week it's called the Austrian Grand Prix. But it's going to be run on the exact same course in the exact same location. So we have races, the first of those two races for each type of motorsports. We'll look at those. But before we do any of that, let's do what we always do and update my bankroll. And you can see we started with a bankroll of $249 last week. We had Portugal against Germany, and I went with a two-way bet there, but they lost in regulation, minus $8 to the bankroll. And then we had Lewis Hamilton in the French Grand Prix. He got passed on the next to last lap, finished second, so that was minus $8 to the bankroll. We had the Islanders at home last Saturday. I think that was Game 4, and they won, plus $9 to the bankroll. And then we had the Clippers at home versus the Jazz, and they closed them out, plus $8 to the bankroll. So if you do the math, that's a whopping gain of $1. So our new bankroll is $250. And dividing by 30 as we always do, because we try to remain selective sports bettors, using this simple bankroll management formula, our bet size going forward, again, is $8. But we're moving in the right direction, grinding from a low point of around $200. So that's promising in itself. But hopefully by the time we get to football, we'll have a little more bankroll to work with. So let's talk about expected goals. And what the hell are expected goals? So expected goals are an advanced stat that uses play-by-play data to determine team strength. So it's not just, I asked one of my friends the other day who doesn't know a lot about stats, but he knows a lot about sports. I said, you know what expected goals are? He says, oh, yeah. Well, that's the number of goals you've scored divided by the number of games you've played. Well, no, that's your average goals scored. Expected goals uses the play-by-play data, they use primarily the shot data. So teams must shoot, in soccer, shoot the ball, in hockey, shoot the puck to score goals. So expected goals reviews all of the shot attempts a team makes. So we go through the play-by-play data of a team throughout the season, all their play-by-play data, and we look at all their shot attempts. And then considering each shot attempt, we ask, number one, is the shot on target, or is it blocked in some cases? Number two, what is the location of the shot attempt? And number three, what is the probability of the shot attempt scoring? So if we want to use the Euro 2020 example, most people have seen this goal where a player from the Czech Republic kicked the ball from about 50 yards out and scored the goal over the opposing goaltender. And it was a beautiful, spectacular goal. However, it's a low probability of scoring that type of goal. So that shot attempt might be 1 or 2% scoring a goal in that circumstance. So that would be worth 0.01 or 0.02 expected goals, depending on how you measured that. On the other hand, if somebody has a penalty kick, penalty kicks are known to have a ballpark of about 90% success rate. So if a team gets a penalty kick, that should be worth 0.9 expected goals on average. So, these numbers are based on, my interpretation of the probability. You would have to do some in-depth analysis to determine the actual numbers, but I'm trying to explain the concept here. So now that we know, we take all the shot attempts from a team's data, and then we calculate all those numbers: 0.02 goals, 0.9 goals, 0.55 goals, expected goals, and then we divide it by the number of games played, and then we have their expected goals per game. So that is how expected goals are calculated. So we're going to take it to the next step. Expected goals for versus expected goals against. So now, taking it to the next level, calculating expected goals that you might score are expected goals for. Expected goals for is an offensive measurement of a team. How many goals they are expected to score based upon their shot attempts and their shot location. I put shot performance here in the words on the graphic. And then you have expected goals against, is a defensive measurement of a team. How many goals they are expected to surrender based upon the shot performances of the teams that play against them. What type, did they give up high percentage shots? Did they only give up low percentage shots? So you can use expected goals as a defensive measurement as well as an offensive measurement. And so you can determine how well a defense is playing based on this metric. How well the quality of shots they surrender. If they only give low percentage shots, they're probably not going to give up very many goals. And if they're giving up a lot of penalty kicks, obviously in soccer, they're going to give up a lot of goals. So now we have expected goals for and expected goals against. So we know how to calculate expected goals. We know how to calculate them for and against. So now that we have all that information, we are going to go to expected goal differential. An expected goal differential, XGD, equals the expected goals for minus the expected goals against. And if that's a positive number, then your differential means that you're expected to score that many more goals than your opponent. If it's a negative number, you're expected to give up that many more goals than your opponent. So this measures the relative strength of a team. And while it's only one metric based on shot attempts, it's a way to quickly compare two opposing teams. This is a stat. It's not the stat. It's not. If you use this as a handicapping tool combined with other handicapping tools, I think it's very valuable. If you just use it on its own basic merits, it's not a bad tool, but don't expect world-beating performance just based off this one metric, because there's a lot more that goes into a soccer game or a hockey game other than expected goals. I mean, in hockey, goaltending is huge. In soccer, formations and possession and things like that are very important. But if you wanted to compare two teams quickly, saying which team is expected to be the stronger of the two, this is a quick and easy way to do it. And I think it has value. So that's why I'm bringing it up to you today. So now that we know how expected goal differential is calculated, I'm going to show you somebody that I follow on Twitter, Rob Pizzola, who has a very good podcast. We've talked about that in a past episode. He calculated expected goals for and against for all of the Euro 2020 teams. On his Twitter page, he posted it. So I'm not going to calculate. I'm not even going to try to calculate it for you here on the show. I'm just going to use the numbers that he's presented. So if you don't agree with the numbers, please take it up with Rob. But using the numbers he provided, we're going to look at the goal differentials for the 16 remaining teams in the Euro 2020. And I think they're very interesting. Now, I do want to point out that the teams in this tournament were in the group stage, where they were in groups of 4, and they only played the teams in their group. Now, obviously, if one team got paired with 3 really weak teams, well, their goal differential might be off the charts, but they might not be, that might not represent how they're going to perform against other really good teams. So these are incredibly small sample sizes because each team only played 3 games. And I'm not saying that this information is highly valuable based on the sample size. What I'm saying is this is how you use this information if you're comparing the teams. And that's what I'm trying to present to you today. So let's take a look at the Euro 2020 round of 16 expected goal differential. So we have Wales is playing Denmark, and Wales' expected goal differential is minus 0.24. So that means that they're expected to give up 0.24 more goals than they score. And Denmark's is 1.39, which means they are expected to score 1.39 more goals than their opponents on average. And that gives us a relative strength. Denmark is according to expected goal, is 1.63 expected goals better than Wales. So that's a strong number. That, to me, if it's over 1, that indicates that team is a good bet to likely win the game in regulation time. Now, in the round of 16, the teams play their 90 minutes, then they play extra time, and then they go to penalty kicks. So you can bet on a team to advance to the next round, or you can bet on a team just to be ahead after the 90 minutes, or to be tied at the 90 minutes before the extra time starts. So let's move on to the next one. So Italy, of course, is probably the betting favorite to win the whole thing. A 1.84 expected goals differential versus Austria, who has 0.12. So Austria's only expected to score 0.12 goals more than their opponents. So that gives Italy a goal differential strength of 1.72 goals over Austria. So obviously they're heavy favorites in that game. The Netherlands, I think, is a team that is not talked about a lot. You could say they played in a weak group, but they've played really well. 2.2 goals over their opponents in their goal differential, expected goal differential. And the Czech Republic, minus 0.61 in their goal differential. So that gives the Netherlands a 2.81 goal differential strength. Another team that I think would be a good bet to win in regulation time. And then we have a really competitive game here. Belgium against Portugal. Belgium's goal differential is 0.38. Portugal's is 0.93. So we have Portugal at 0.55 goal differential over Belgium, about a half a goal. I think there are stronger plays, but Portugal might be a good value to bet on in regulation time. I would look for a stronger number myself, because teams that feel that they have an edge in penalty kicks, if it goes to extra time, may play more conservative and more for a tie. The goal is to advance and win the championship. So, these teams are relatively equal strength. So you have Croatia minus 0.81 goal differential. That's not very good. Against Spain, who has a 2.20 goal differential. Gives Spain a 3.01 goal differential advantage over Croatia. Obviously, Spain is a good bet to win in regulation. Their defense is amazing. They're very good at not giving up goals, but they had trouble scoring goals until they scored 5 in their last game. So maybe they've woken up, or maybe they just got an easy last game. I don't know. It's up to you to decide. France, another team that's probably, if they're not the first favorite, they're the second favorite, but their goal differential is only 0.14 versus Switzerland has a goal differential of minus 0.06. Gives France a goal differential advantage of 0.2. That's a game where I would look at and say maybe these teams, go to extra time. This is where maybe it might be worth betting on the draw for the first 90 minutes. Obviously, I think France advances, but the odds are going to be very heavy in France's favor. But maybe a draw might be plus 300, So you don't know. You don't know how conservative the teams are going to want to play. And then England and Germany, this game, I do think these teams are very evenly matched. England has 0.95 plus expected goals. Germany 1.07 plus expected goals. That gives Germany a 0.12 expected goals differential advantage over England, and that's a very minute. I could see this being 0-0, 1-1, 2-2 going into extra time. That could easily be a draw in the first 90 minutes. England has just had so much heartbreak, and Germany's had good and bad games. So I expect that to be a very close game. And then Sweden minus 0.19 expected differential against Ukraine minus 0.26 expected differential equals 0.07 advantage for Sweden in goal differential. So again, two teams that look to be very evenly matched, and Sweden is definitely a defense-first team, and I could see them packing it in for 90 minutes. So another game that I think we're betting on the draw might be the best wager if you're looking to wager on that event. I think you should just look for the best odds. And I made two plays here, and I'll talk about them when we get to my picks. But I hope that was a simple and straightforward explanation of expected goal differential and how you can use that number to compare teams. And that, that's it's very applicable to hockey, to the NHL, to soccer like the MLS or the Premier League, which starts in September. You can use, these figures. They're readily available on stats websites around the web. You don't have to do the calculations yourself. I think like on Football Reference for soccer, FB Reference they call it, not Pro Football Reference. But they have expected goal differentials for most of the major soccer leagues. But that's the lesson for today. I hope you found that helpful. So let's move on. Since we just already handicapped the Euro, let's move on to the NHL playoffs. We have Game 7, the Islanders plus 150 at the Lightning minus 177. The over-under is 5. And Game 7s, I think the over's in play here. This is one of those situations where the season's on the line. And if there is a team, if the game is tied, it's probably going to overtime and the over's going to lose. But if the game is not tied, empty net city is going to occur. A team that's down by 2 goals, a team that's down by 3 goals in a Game 7 is still going to pull their goalie. If there's any time left, any significant time left, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So I think over 5 is a pretty a safe play. I think it's like minus 120 over 5. I wouldn't, I wouldn't bet the farm on it, but for a 1-unit play, I think that's a very sweet play. But as far as this goes, I need more from the Island. I need a better number to bet on the Islanders here. I'm rooting for the Islanders just based on the principle that the Tampa Bay is $18 million over the salary cap. Kucherov, it looks like he hurt his ribs in the last game. We don't know if he's ready to play. He may try to give it a go. I don't know. Varlamov has been good and bad in this series. Vasilevsky's been pretty consistent. If this was 175 for the Islanders, I would probably be on the Islanders. But I like the Lightning here, and considering the empty net situation, I think you might want to play this one on the puck line. It's hard to win game sevens on the road unless the Islanders get up too early, like 2-0 or 3-1. They got a real good shot at winning. So if you can live bet, maybe if the Islanders get up 1, you might want to hop on that right away. But will be an interesting game. And then let's go to the NBA. We've got the Hawks at the Bucks game 2. I think that's tonight. The Bucks -8 again. I can't believe that they disrespect the Hawks as much as they do. This team is playing well ever since Nate McMillan took the team over. They're playing much better than their record was during the regular season. But they have not been blown out many times, and the Bucks have not blown anybody out. The Nets, I think they had one game where they may have won by double digits against the Nets. So giving the Hawks 8, 8.5, 9 points, saying, we think the Bucks are going to win by double digits. Man, that's a lot of points. I just don't see it. Sons of the Clippers pick, that is, I think, is lined appropriately. It looked like Devin Booker had a broken nose. He's wearing that mask, and it caused him to have problems shooting. It not combined with the fact that the Clippers defense is trying to make him go to his right when he's a natural lefty. He wants to go to his left. Some people say that doesn't matter. Scorers are going to score from anywhere. That may be the case. But they see something in the Suns' offense, and they're basically saying, we want DeAndre Ayton to beat us. They're going to let him score 20 points instead of letting Booker score 40. But if he did have a broken nose, that affects you. That messes with your concentration. It's not. I would, put a hand in his face, rub my finger, try to get my finger against his mask and see if that makes him twitch. All's fair in love and war, as they say. But these teams are very evenly matched as currently constituted. I think if Kawhi was healthy and back, it's a different story. But if Booker and Chris Paul are both healthy, then the Suns, I think, have the advantage in this series. The Clippers are going to have to win at least one in Phoenix to win the series. I don't know if they can do that. But this game is, this could have been a 2-1 Clippers lead if Paul George had made those free throws. So I really don't like that line at all, so I don't see myself betting on that game tonight. And then let's move on to the Styrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. The interesting thing about this race, obviously the Styrian Grand Prix ran last year. Styria is the state in Austria where the racetrack is located. That's why they call it that. Max Verstappen has won this race twice. Valtteri Bottas has won it once, and Lewis Hamilton won it once in 2016. But Max Verstappen has won the last 2 races at this track. He is lined as the favorite. He did have the fastest practice time. Qualifying's tomorrow morning. Lewis Hamilton is plus 160. I'm going to need probably plus 200 or more to bet on Lewis Hamilton here. This is kind of Max's race to lose. And they're racing here again next week. So depending on how things go in this first race, we might have some good value on the second race. As the lines are currently constituted, I don't really like either driver at the moment. If Hamilton comes out and wins the pole, I might want to bet on Verstappen because I think he's going to run the better race. So we'll have to see what happens. But as the lines are right now, I don't really like them that much. And then NASCAR is doing double duty this weekend in Pocono. And if you've been following NASCAR for the last month, 5 weeks, Hendrick cars have just dominated the series. Kyle Larson has won, if you include the All-Star race, which is a non-points race, he's won the last 4 races, including a road course, a 600-mile race. It's just been a dominance. They finished 1, 2, 3, 4 in the Coca-Cola 400, the 4 Hendricks cars. And it's tough. I said earlier in the season, as the season started, it's hard for a car to be a repeat winner, to win 2 weeks in a row. And this one car has won 4. He's been first or second in 7 straight races. And we haven't seen dominance like this in 25 years in NASCAR. And there's a new formula to the car this year. It's a different shape. It drives differently. It's got a big rear wing. And obviously, Hendrick has figured something out that the other race teams haven't figured out yet. That's got to be the case because these cars are designed to be equal, and right now they're not at all. So if you look at the odds, Kyle Larson is a Hendrick car. He's the favorite again. Denny Hamlin is the Joe Gibbs car, and he's the second favorite. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Kevin Harvick are the 3 drivers that have the best course history at Pocono. They've always done well. But I don't think I could put money on them to win this race unless these other cars wreck, because the Hendrick cars are just so dominant right now. So you've got Chase Elliott at plus 900 is the second Hendrick car. William Byron plus 1,000 is the third Hendrick car. And Alex Bowman plus 1,800 is the fourth Hendrick car. So I don't think you can place a bet on any other car to win. It's just it's been too much of a dominance by Hendrick in the last 7 races. So I don't think I'm going to place a win bet on this race. I would look at top 5 or top 10s or prop bets to find your value here. And I'm going to show you which ones I chose. So let's wrap things up as our half hour is almost up with my picks. And for the Euro 2020, I'm going to take Denmark on Saturday. 3-way betting, that means regulation time after 90 minutes plus what they call the stoppage time to be ahead, to be winning at minus 120. And then I'm going to take England, Germany as a draw plus 225. Again, 3-way market, so them to be tied after stoppage time, before extra time. And those are going to be my 2 Euro bets using my expected goal differential formulas. And then in hockey, I'm going to take the Lightning minus 1.5 at plus 155. I feel like whoever wins this game is going to win by 2 or 3 goals because of the empty net situation. I'm going to take the Hawks plus 8 minus 109. It's the exact same line they had in game 1. Hawks won outright in game 1. I'm not saying they're going to win outright again, but geez, that's a lot of points. I like the Hawks plus 8. I'm going to take in the NASCAR. I have no bets on the Formula One race this week. The Hendrick car to win. So any Hendrick car of the 4 to win the race on Saturday plus 105. I feel like that's good value until a Hendrick car gets beaten. I mean, I would bet that every week at that price. And then a one driver who I feel like has a decent shot as a top 10 is Daniel Suarez. There's only usually like 38 or 39 cars that race, so he's only has to finish in the top 25% of the field. Plus 375 for a top 10, I feel like that's a great price, so I'm going to take that as well. So that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. Hope you found it useful. Thank you for spending some time with me this week, and we'll have another Sportsbook lesson for you next week. So let's enjoy the weekend in sports. Let's go get some winners, play the outro music for you. Take care, everybody.